One of the most important things we can do to begin to grapple with our energy and climate problems is to end the craziness of sending taxpayer money off to the richest industries on Earth. $100 billion over the next decade that can either go to fixing the real problems that America has, or it can go straight into the pockets of the richest industry on Earth, and an industry whose carbon is doing deep damage around the planet. We need to stop paying them a performance bonus for the environmental damage that they're creating.
Keith Ellison and I are here today not just to announce new legislation, but to send a very profound message. And that message is that it is time to end the absurdity of taxpayers providing massive subsidies to hugely profitable fossil fuel corporations.
That's right.
In these difficult economic times, it is imperative that we support the taxpayers of this country, the working people of this country, and not the fossil fuel industry, one of the most powerful and profitable industries in the world. Our federal government is set to give away over $110 billion in taxpayer dollars to the oil, gas, and coal industries over the next 10 years. This is totally absurd. When we have a $15.6 trillion national debt, we cannot afford it. When the 5 largest oil companies have made over $1 trillion in profit in the last decade, they don't need it. As people throughout our country are demanding, all over America, that we invest in energy efficiency, that we invest in sustainable energy. And when Congress has instead allowed key sustainable energy incentives to expire, even as big oil reaps billions in subsidies, it is time in a very profound way to change our national energy priorities, and that's what we're talking about today. Congressman Ellison and I are introducing the End Polluter Welfare Act in the U.S. Senate and in the U.S. House. Our legislation is the most comprehensive ever introduced on this subject. It ends all of the tax breaks, all of the special financing arrangements, and all of the federal research and development funding. We reform royalties to ensure that fossil fuel corporations pay their fair share. We ensure that never again can a company like BP take a tax deduction for money it spent cleaning up the disaster that it caused in the Gulf of Mexico.
We've got to come together. We have got to work hard. We've got to make the connections. We've got to work on the left and the right of the political spectrum. Anybody who wants to end these things, end these nasty subsidies, we've got to find a friend in them, because what we've got to do is reclaim our nation and make sure it's not BP and the rest of them who get to run the table in the White House, in the Capitol, but it is the voice of the American people. We've got to restore the voice of the American people, and that means we have got to spread the word. I'm so excited about being here today to see the coalition that is emerging, but the coalition is yet not big enough. We've got to mass many, many people and reach out all across this nation so that we can say something very, very simple. And that is, rich companies, rich corporations should not get subsidies on top of the big extreme profits that they already make. We all come to a very, we whole idea that in the competition for resources between the old oil industry and the coal industry and renewable industry, at least we can have a level playing field. At least they can have an even shot. And we shouldn't subsidize these interests to the tune of $110 billion.
Cheater economics is when you externalize damages on the public and force the public to pay. We know what fossil fuel damages do to our public health, to our kids, our families. We know the damages it does to crops, to buildings, and now the big damage of all around the world is climate disruption. It's about time we stop these handouts and this cheater economics. Let's put an end to it. And the audacity of coming in for a handout when you're the richest, creases operations going on the earth. This should just not happen. Bills like this will put an end to the cheater economics and bring integrity to our democracy. And one more thing. Don't be fooled by claims the oil industry will make. Oh, well, if we didn't have this, the price of gasoline would be higher. This is a bunch of baloney. The price of oil is set on the international market. Even President Bush Jr. said, well, with prices of oil of $55 a barrel, we don't need any more incentives to drill. Let's get real and let's call their bluff. So let's go.